welcome everybody to another episode of the Everything Horror Podcast. I'm Paul Doski, and with me we got indie filmmaker John Ward. John, thank you so much for actually reaching out first, really, to be honest.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. So I'm glad that I reached out.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm kind of glad that you reached out as well. So it's always cool to see like what the indie world has in store for us for like the future, rather than remake after remake. We get some originality, and everybody loves original stuff, even though they may say that we need to see it more, even though they like the remakes and stuff more. And, when we give them something original, they tend to bash it. And I think it's just like, it's just probably because it's getting to the point where a lot of people are so brainwashed by the brand of the title that we are already familiar with. And then when we try to give something like as a film that we're going to be talking about with you, that you're actually crowdfunding right now, called GHOUL, people tend to kind of be, maybe I want to say picky, maybe I just want to say they kind of give it that 50-50 chance, really. But anyway, real quick, John, is for people like me and for people listening, could you give us a little origin story of how you got into horror? And it looked like you actually got some directing, you got like an acting department going on, and I believe you got like the camera and electrical department. So yeah, if you wouldn't be what am I trying to say, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little origin story of how you came to be to want to do your own stuff, then yeah, feel free.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'm a little older than a lot of kind of like beginning filmmakers. I'm actually 51, and I did, excuse me, I did work in Hollywood as like a grip, a gaffer, a PA. I worked just those types of jobs when I was back in my 20s, and just never enjoyed it. I just never liked it. I did go to Los Angeles City College and College of Marin, so I went to school both in Northern and Southern California, and did some writing and just worked on some stuff that I wasn't happy with. That kind of just dried up. That just ended. And it wasn't until I moved out here to Vegas that I rediscovered everything. And I ended up, I was obviously a movie fan, and I was a fan, or still am, and friends with David Sterling, and a big fan of the Camp Blood movies. So I reached out to David, and we talked, and I became, a bigger fan and a friend. And he called me up one day and said, "Hey, do you want to go work on this movie called Clown Motel Massacre?" There is a Clown Motel movie out there right now, but that's not us. Ours has not been finished yet. It's called Clown Motel Massacre. And I said, sure. And he's like, I can't pay you, but you can go do PA work and stuff like that. And I thought, well, great. What a good way to kind of get back in the film again. And next thing I know, I'm being called by the director, who's saying, okay, well, the lead villain, the guy who was supposed to play the killer clown, dropped out. You're the only guy who's not doing like 10 jobs, so you're now the killer clown. So my very first film back into kind of the whole filmmaking game, I ended up being like the Freddy Krueger of the movie. And then when I wasn't acting, I just did crew work. I did a lot of helping with the producer and the director and just various different projects. And then after that, because I work at a storage facility, a guy came and rented out a storage unit, and he said, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm making this film called Drug Z. Do you want to help me with it?" And I worked from beginning to end on that. It was supposed to be kind of like a zombie film. Unfortunately, that hasn't been finished either. But from those two films I realized on a very small budget with a very small crew, you could make your own movie. And from there, that's where I made Axemas. And that's kind of my whole launching pad was Axemas, which ended up being around 25 minutes. It had people from Crime Hotel, Massacre, and Drug Z working on it. That's where I met my effects artist, Miranda Dudley, who I've worked with ever since. And that was the whole launching point. And I wrote it, directed it, produced it. We shot it at the storage facility I worked at, and it's been great for me ever since. So it was kind of interesting how. Oh, and in between everything, I also worked close to 2 years on other people's movies. So that's where some of the things you're seeing on IMDb come in. Is if somebody in Vegas needed somebody to work sound, I worked sound. If they needed lighting, I did lighting. If they needed an extra, I did extra work. And whatever I could get my hands on, wherever I could help, because I knew that I would be meeting new people, and I could help them, and those people could help me, and it's paid off greatly. So that's kind of how I got into it and back into it again.
Very cool. Yeah, it's always cool to get or should I say, to connect with people, to get that connection, so that way, you guys you have a way of reaching out to people and be like, hey, remember we worked on this or whatever, and maybe we could work on this and stuff like that. So really trying to connect with other people definitely helps big time. And I mean, I kind of say it sometimes to other people, where it's like, it's always better to have different people's opinion, because somewhere in the opinions comes into the play of somebody will never have thought of doing something in a particular way, of either a scene, a lighting, directing, camera, acting, whatever, really. So connecting with other people is definitely a big plus in my own opinion.
Oh yeah, I think it's necessary. It's invaluable. I mean, it's the more films you work on, the more people that you meet. Just because now I've established myself as like a writer and director doesn't mean that I'm above, going and doing lighting or sound or carrying equipment. It's it's all about returning the favor. It's about meeting new people, and it's just great to watch other people work. I mean, you could pick up so much information just by watching another director. You could just, even if you're there for, if it's just a one-day shoot and you're there for maybe 12 hours, you may just take one little thing away that you can use on your own film. So to me, it's almost, necessary, almost like a requirement that filmmakers should go work on other people's movies.
That's actually a really good point, because I used to actually, let me rephrase this. I did do a small little acting role for a movie here in my local area, almost 5 years ago, this October to be exact, when it was released, and I believe we started on it like 2013. But after working with these local filmmakers around here, I agree with you. You tend to watch and learn and everything else. So if I wanted to do my own thing, I kind of have some knowledge. Even doing this podcast, like talking with people like you and everybody else, I'll ask this real quick for you, John, and I'll finish it too. But like a question I usually ask indie filmmakers too is, if there's any type of advice you could give somebody that's trying to start their own film, what would it be? But in my own experience, though, not only did I learn acting, but I learned how to direct like a found footage way and somewhat of a traditional way, because I've also helped the same people behind the camera, even though I was not in the the film itself for their other project that they did, but I still learned how to do like sound design and stuff like that. And so everything is like a key way of like, learning to, like you're just saying, do your own stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's anybody who thinks they know it all is totally wrong. I mean, I've done 2 10-minute found footage films for these 2 things called VHS Violence 1 and 2, and they're produced by Dustin Ferguson. And I'd never done one before. And I'm like, well, what do you do? Do I just hand the camera to somebody and just have them walk around? But a friend of mine asked me if I could, work for a day on his found footage film. And just by working a few hours on his, it was like, oh, okay, I got it now. And I was able to take that and use it on my own.
That makes me wonder. So you just actually mentioned what I actually did a little bit, which was I actually took the camcorder and did the scenes myself, even though the director showed me what to do and like specific areas, and I would do it. Or if there was a specific thing that he wanted me to zoom on and zoom out, or say something stupid or corny for like a comedy type of thing, I would say it. But what did you learn when you went on to this found footage project? Was it kind of the same thing, or was it a little bit different than what I was just mentioning?
My stuff it's outlined. So I have kind of a detailed outline. So when I went to go do the first one for VHS Violence, we shot about, I want to say, 55 minutes worth of footage. And as long as I had to trim it down to 10 minutes. And as long as the people followed key things in the outline, and I always stood behind the actress, who was Julianne Prescott, and I was always there. So she would we were using my phone because she's following around like an ex-lover who's having an affair. I just needed to make sure that she got certain things into what we were filming, and then she could kind of ad-lib everything else. So in the credits,
okay,
there's no writer listed. It's written by cast and crew. And we did the same thing on the second movie, too, where, as long as we followed that outline and key things were said and done, the actors could ad-lib.
Yeah, we kind of did that too, and there was some dialogue that he definitely just wanted just to help the story a little bit, but otherwise, if we could think of something to add to it, then we would. So, and I thought that was kind of fun because it was like really my first time doing something like this anyway. So once again, it's a whole new learning experience to me, so I thought it was really cool to see how it's done, especially for found footage, because I always thought like, okay, so what do? Do you just give the camera to somebody, or do you just have the director really just do all the shot, and then for like or something like that, depending on how you want to look at some scene. Like if you're just running through the woods, so is that just the director, and then they just have the cast guy just like, just record separately their audio, and then they just add it to that video? I mean, it's really cool to see how some things are done and what isn't done. So, yeah, so that's very interesting how you guys did that. So,
Yeah, I think it depends on the director and who's making it. For the second one that we did, called Cannibal, since I'm out here in Vegas, I try to use the desert to my advantage. And I had the actress in a she was kind of like in like a gully, like a little ravine,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just wanted her to. She would hold the camera on her, and then I would stand above, and then we would discuss what the scene is, and like what she would say, and how far she would start from this bush and end it, at that tree, and then I would kind of walk away so I wouldn't get caught on camera, and then I could kind of hear what she's saying, and then I would, when she would actually be the one to yell cut, and then I would kind of run down, take a look at the footage. Okay, that's good. Now let's move on to this scene. So it kind of depends on how that worked. So and luckily I've worked with people who are creative, and it's Mindy Glickerson was the actress in that one, and she just did everything really. I didn't have to do too many different takes with her, because I do follow my outline exactly. There's not a lot of I guess kind of freedom within it. We got to do these things, but in between these things you can kind of do your own thing, but we just have to follow what it is.
Right, yeah, I think I understand what you're trying to say. Like, there is a formula and there's freedom at the same time.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we get into GHOUL, one thing I did notice that I just wanted to talk about real quick is it looks like also your first film there, or first short, I'd say, Axeman. What's that kind of about, and how did you even get that idea? It sounds like a really interesting idea.
Axemas originally started in the 80s. I did test footage where my grandfather was going to drink wine, but it had rabid, like, rat blood that dripped from the ceiling. The rat got caught in a trap, and he went nuts on Christmas Day in the Santa Claus suit and started killing the family. And that was shot on Super 8. So that tells you, once again, how old I am. But nothing ever happened with it. It just nothing happened. And it wasn't until, once again, I moved out to Vegas, started working in a storage facility, and people would come in saying, this place is really creepy. They don't like being here at night. They can hear noises. Because at times you get drug addicts in there, you get homeless people. And so the places are creepy. And I started writing a slasher film that took place in a storage facility. Didn't like it, but I'm a huge Silent Night, Deadly Night fan, and especially of the first three. And said, well, what if I made it a Santa Claus and put it at Christmas? And it just kind of took off from there. So we were able to make Axemas 1 and 2, which is a direct continuation from the first one. And each one just has some of the same actors, but also a lot of different ones. Mm-hmm. And both of those have done all of us really well. So I'm very proud of both of those.
Very cool, very cool. And just for out of curiosity, for people that are listening and listening to about these films that we just already mentioned, is there any place that we can watch, like Axemas or the other one that we have mentioned?
The VHS Violence 1 and 2 have not come out yet. Okay. They should be out later this year, as they're part of that anthology. And then Axemas is available through Screamtime Films. You could get that solo by itself, or through Wild Eye. It's under the title Brutality. It's part of an anthology with Brutality. It's on there with like 3 or 4 other movies. And then part 2 hasn't come out yet because we're waiting for the other directors, so it can be released as Brutality 2, and then it will come out by itself from Screamtime Films.
Oh, that's awesome! I'll have to definitely check it out. It does sound like fun because I am a big fan of Silent Night, Deadly Night. So, and it still cracked me up of what happened with number 2 though when they had to change the little boy actor though. That still is quite funny a little bit. I mean I know something definitely happened so that they couldn't use the little boy in number 2 for the flashback, but it's really weird nonetheless. So I don't know if that is the same kid, but I don't really think it is in number 2 when they were trying to do the flashback. But anyway, so here we're actually going to be talking about GHOUL here, where it's what I could read and understand through this great Indiegogo campaign that you got going on, where you're trying to raise $5,000 for your biggest budget film yet, and I believe it's like your first feature, correct?
Well, actually, let me go back one second. Axemas, you can actually watch on Amazon. It's streaming on Amazon. I forgot about that. And the Axemas is a trilogy, but it's 4 films. So there is Axemas 1 and 2. We're also going to make part 3. And then part 4 is going to be like Silent Night, Deadly Night part 2. So it's going to be new footage, but it'll also be a clip movie of parts 1 through 3. And I want to try to get Eric Freeman, who is in Silent Night, Deadly Night part 2, in part 4. My first feature is actually Meathook Massacre part 4. And that just came out.
Yes. Okay. So, is there like a 1, 2, 3 for Meathook, or would this really just part of just the very start, and then you're kind of doing like a Star Wars way?
No, there is. There's Meathook Massacre 1 and 2. Those are directed by Dustin Ferguson. Meathook 3 is that's a flashback movie. So I'm sorry, not a flashback. That's it's a prequel. So it takes place before part 1, and that, and then I do part. CD.
You did part 4.
Jim DeVault does part 3. Then I do part 4, which is a continuation for part 2. Then Dustin Ferguson was inspired by the new Halloween movie. So then he made a part 5, which still includes all the other movies, but it's more of a direct sequel to the first film. So there are 5.
Oh, okay.
And they're available through Scream Time. Well, part 4 isn't yet, but 1 through 3 are available through Scream Time. I believe you can also get them on his streaming service, the SoCal Studio Cinema. Part 4 and 5 are coming out later on this year. But you can see both of those on his streaming service also as a double feature.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'll have to look that up too, for sure, because I like what I'm hearing so far and what I'm seeing from your like IMDb and stuff. So it's very cool. And now GHOUL. So this is your second feature, if I'm reading this right from your short summary, and it's also going to be your biggest budget that you have to date. Now, what can you tell us about GHOUL? Of like, what's it about? Who is involved, and what do you plan on doing with GHOUL?
Right now, GHOUL, like you said, right now GHOUL is in the crowdfunding stages. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping to get that 5,000, because that's Meathook Massacre ended up costing around $3,000 to make, and that had a really good cast in it, including Brink Stevens is in that, and we have a lot of good people in that one. So people from the Axemas movies, from Meathook, including some new people, show up again in GHOUL. And that's basically about a woman, a photographer. She moves out here to Vegas, and she buys a house that she keeps hearing really creepy noises in, and she thinks it's haunted. And what she doesn't realize is that there's this creature that's living in the attic that has basically fallen in love with her in a way, and starts kind of killing off the people that are around her. So if she has a next door neighbor who's a jerk, the ghoul will go and take care of it. Or if she has a creepy handyman, the ghoul will take care, will get rid of the handyman. And that one has Maria Olsen in it, who's just in I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, and she has one of the lead roles in it. So it's a bigger movie. It's something that is completely on my own. A lot of my other films have had like Dustin Ferguson or other people involved. This is completely my company, which is Dark Park Films, and it's also 1313 Effects, which is Tom Devlin's company, and my effects artist, Miranda Dudley. She now has her own company, also, which is called Blood Metal Makeup Artistry. And so she'll be doing a lot of the effects. But 1313 Effects has worked a lot with Full Moon, and Tom Devlin has always been a great help to us on our films in the past. So that's why we're hoping this is going to be the biggest one yet. And so we need that 5,000 to make sure that it's the biggest and the best out of what we've done. Each film has to get bigger and better. We can't go backwards. So the next film that takes place after Ghoul will be even bigger budget and a bigger and hopefully better movie. But for us to be able to do what we want to do and to get the cast and crew that we want, we really need people's help to hit that goal of $5,000.
Well, I hope people will start to help out indie filmmakers, but like I said, back again to what I was saying earlier too, is these well-known brand names, like I think we all heard about, like Terrorizer. That's going on right now, and that seems to be the most talked about campaign right now compared to any other indie campaign, which I had a few other people talk to me about Terrorizer and like, sharing the campaign and stuff. That, I don't know if you heard, but Terrorizer 2 got funded in like less than 2 hours, I hear, or less than 24 hours. They were already over their goal. But in this case, like, it's really sad though when we get like campaigns like yours with Ghoul, and it doesn't seem like it gets the support it really needs, if that makes sense. Also, just out of curiosity, John, for your Project Ghoul, have you been getting any type of feedback, help, shares, anything at all while doing this?
I mean, well, one, I have to agree with you, because there are at least 3 other campaigns going on, and yeah, Terrorizer. There's a couple other ones too. I'm friends with the people that are running them, so I don't want to badmouth them, so I'm not going to say what they are. But they get funded instantly, and I could barely squeak in somebody giving $5. And I'm looking forward to Terrorizer 2 and some of these other ones. I'm a fan of the first Terrorizer, but those films get funded so quickly that if we could even have just a sprinkle of that, it would help. I mean, $5,000 is not much compared to what these other people are asking. That are asking for $30,000 or $40,000. I mean, we're really that small little indie film that everybody is sharing. I mean, that's the best thing. I will say this. Meathook Massacre 4, we did crowdfunding on. And we got over maybe $2,000 for that. And then the rest of that money I put in through my own pocket. This one is being shared beyond belief. I mean, we're having, indie filmmakers. We're having just fans. We're having all these people, share the campaign, including it going on to a ton of groups and pages and stuff. And we're just getting nothing. And we got this great cast with known people, and a special effects artist who has worked on many full moon films, and all the stuff that I've done gets distributed. At times it takes a little bit for it to come out, but they do get distributed, and we can't get a break. It's really kind of strange. We need 5,000, and we just broke 500. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, I don't really know, except for the fact that, like, kind of what I was saying earlier is that, if they're not used to somebody's work, maybe that might be why. Or if in this case, if they see that bigger name, they're gonna jump on board with that quicker than anything else because they know it. And that's what I think hurts the indie film the most, because GHOUL probably should be getting more, if more fun by people who should give your film a chance, even if they don't know your work. Like, I personally do not know your work, John, but I would pitch in something, if I could, to help you guys out, even if it was just like $5, just to show you my appreciation, though, of you trying to make a film, if not more, too. But I don't know. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I've tried even asking a few people, is like, well, do you think maybe it depends on the season? And I guess what I mean by that is, like, the different type of months. So, like, what month would actually work out for people who want to support horror in order for it to come out? Or I don't know. I mean, I that's one of the many questions I think I want to know. Like, I just learned recently that I didn't even think about this, but I don't know if you know it, John, but do you know what is one of the best days to release a horror film?
I don't. Tell me.
Christmas, believe it or not. Christmas. I hear if you release your horror film on Christmas, it's like probably the biggest day for any horror film, because of the fact that everybody's home and wanting to look for movies to watch since they're all opening up their gifts and stuff. That's what I've heard. So I find that kind of weird. At the same time, that Christmas would be the biggest hit for a horror movie to be watched or whatever. But at the same time, after hearing about it, that everybody's home for the holiday, well, maybe most people, and then if they want something to look for, they're going to go through that new release, and there you go, boom. And it's just like, oh, wow, I never even thought of that. And so I don't know. I mean, in this case, so is it like that in a way, John? Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, when is the best time to release a crowdfund where I'm going to get hit the most? Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what happened, is that maybe because of you released it around the time where people aren't really looking. I mean, or in this case, I'm trying to think. Like, like, no, I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this. It's just really hard to determine when a crowdfund is best to come out, really, in my own opinion. But then, like I said, if you got the brand name, man, forget about it. Your film is gonna be like, hidden behind all the biggest name crowd, which, really sucks. But I will say this, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, really, but I've seen it recently for a documentary that we actually talked with the guy about. What he did was he made multiple campaigns when he needed the money. So, like, example, he did one campaign that only raised $200 out of the I forget what it was, 20,000 or something he wanted. Then he did another campaign, raised 2,000 out of the X amount of dollars. And then he did another one, which I believe was like the final one. And then he raised the most, I think it was, out of the X amount of dollars he had. So I don't know if you wanted to try something like that, or what you're planning on doing with GHOUL fundings once the campaign is over with.
it's hard to say. From what I understand is, I mean, they've just said don't release, don't do crowdfunding around the holidays because people are spending all that money, on Christmas gifts.
Yep.
So that's really the only thing that I know. I probably releasing it at the same time as one or two other crowdfunding campaigns that are much bigger was most likely a mistake on my end. I probably should have done it before, like way before or after. But we chose to do GHOUL because we were going to do Axemas 3 and 4. But we figured, okay, we got 1 and 2 done, and we thought, all right, well, it's a Christmas slasher film, and now we're making sequels. So we may not get into festivals as much. People may not, if they haven't seen Axemas 1 and 2, they may not give to part 3. So we thought, let's do something totally original that's not holiday-based, that we could get a good cast in. It's primarily one location. There is some found footage in it, but not a lot. And as far as what we've done is that it's very original, and it might be the most original thing that I've done. So, and I don't know, maybe we were wrong. We all love the idea. We think it's great. I did everything that I was told to do with crowdfunding.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm not. It's one of those things where I would hate to have to delay production, but if the money is not there, then we can't do it. Axemas 1 and 2, I could fund out of my own pocket. That was okay because the locations were free. I could do that. That's okay. The 2 little found footage things I also did out of my own pocket. That was okay. And but I needed help with Meathook, and I definitely need help with this. I can't do anything out of my own pocket. It's either make a film or pay my rent, and I have to pay my rent. So, and we have some really good perks. And like I said, I mean, and I'll just name off some of the cast. I mean, when you have somebody like Drew Marvick, who's in the film, he did Pool Party Massacre. He's actually I got done helping him with a short for that 10/31/16 part 2 that's coming out. Yeah. And then we have John Walker, who may not be as known over here in the States, but he's over in England, and he did Ouija Geist, and he also did the Amityville Playhouse, which is over here called Amityville Theater. We have Julianne Prescott, who's been in a ton of movies, including trauma films, and she was in Meathook Massacre 4 and some other things. Of course, Maria Olsen, Tyler Kilgore, who's out here in Vegas. She was in the Immortal Wars 1 and 2, and these 2 horror films called Rust 1 and 2. So these aren't people that just haven't done anything. They actually have films behind them. So it's weird that we're just not getting anything.
Yeah, and I noticed you have David. I'm pretty sure it's McMahon. I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Yeah.
I know him for. Oh God. Am I really having a brain fart on this name on the title right now? Oh my God, Song of Solomon, I think it's what it's called, and
Bonehill the American Guinea Pig,
yes, and he's in a couple other indie films that are coming out as well, and so it's great to see that his name is blowing up a little bit. I mean, I talked with him one time, and he's just like, yeah, you don't want me on your show, ha ha ha. And I'm like, one of these days you're gonna come on our show. I guarantee you it. But yeah, no, it's kind of funny. He's a great guy from what I've talked with him. But yeah, I don't know what to say though about your campaign, man. I mean, you like you just said, you got a really nice perk, and I don't understand why people are not grabbing at it. So I just don't understand. But so so what is going to happen if you don't, when you, you got 3 weeks left and you haven't even broken 1,000 yet. So what the next plan after this, John? What are you going to like try to maybe come back and do a crowdfunding later on like some people do, or are you going to look for sponsors or type of, or like companies or anything?
Kind of all of the above. I'm going to keep the crowdfunding going for as long as it can.
Mm-hmm.
So, when it ends, I guess it ends. I might have to refund people their money. I'm not really sure. Hopefully not. But we will. GHOUL is our main movie that we want to make. I mean, we're even, I've already mentally started kind of mapping out a sequel, and so we feel that there's definitely enough story there to have a sequel right now. And it's just one of those things where we can't do anything without it. I mean, I've had so many people, and this is the weird thing, is I have had so many people, not a lie, message me, like private message me saying, are you auditioning? Are you auditioning? Do you have crew? Do you have somebody to do music? Do you have this? And it's just like, well, I don't have room for you in the first one, but I have plans for a sequel. And they're like, oh, please, let me be part of that. So it's like, I've already have like a bunch of people who want to be in part 2. And the film hasn't even been made yet. Lynn Lowry contacted me, who was in The Crazies and Shivers, and she contacted me around Meathook Massacre 4, and she contacted me again when she saw GHOUL, and I thought, oh, okay, great, let's have you in the sequel. I got, Maria Olsen in this one, let's have you in the second one. So, I know we're going to try to have the crowdfunding going for as long as possible. I'll take money out of my own pocket to, Miranda's going to design the GHOUL, and we're going to put the GHOUL together and then release some promo pics, like of an eye or a hand or the teeth of the GHOUL, and then do some behind the scenes video for that. We have plans for stuff to do. But then, in the meantime of trying to get GHOUL funded, there's other things that we want to do too. I could fund Axemas 3 and 4 if we want to do that. So, we could always work on that. And there's some other stuff that we want to do. So we won't be dead in the water, but it will just take GHOUL maybe a little bit longer to get going. And I'm going out in a couple weeks down to LA to shoot Axe Grinder 2. I'm working with Dustin Ferguson on that and David Sterling. So where I'm an associate producer, I'm a co-writer, and then I'm going to be working crew on that one. So there's stuff happening. There's always stuff going on, and there's always stuff to do. This is just the one that we really want to do.
Well, it sounds like what should probably happen is, like you said, let the campaign run its course. Then maybe what I would maybe do, while even right now, if you want to, is I would research like if any months, like in the upcoming month, even before Black Christmas or Black Friday and Christmas come along, like I wonder if you could possibly set up another one just to do around maybe September to go into October, because then maybe people would be more looking for something creepy or something, like, you know what I mean, like that's just a thought. I'm not saying like take my word for it, like to try to do another campaign, but I guess you just never know. I mean, like, I backed campaign for near in the fall to receive them before either Christmas or primary, before like Halloween or like one of the other holidays. But in this case, I know your original estimated delivery is next year, October 2020, which that should be more than enough time too. So that way, people should realize, like, oh, well, this film will come out next year, October, if you can get the funds, and we already would have a horror movie to help celebrate October anyway. So, I guess.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I was to say, well, and that's the thing is it's by watching other people on their movies, like just recently working on the Drew Marvick short. I watched what Drew was doing. I watched him direct. I watched, I looked at the script and I watched what he was doing. So from all this experience of working on other people's films and making my own movies and all of that, that's the thing is, if we were able to shoot GHOUL this year and get it done, let's say within a month, we had like our 5 main days that we're shooting, and then just random days here and there where we have to do, a little bit of shooting here, a little bit of shooting there. I could have this thing done and ready for release in October. And I mentioned October because, yeah, it's Halloween. So that would be a good time to release it. It wouldn't be something that's sitting on my hard drive for 5 years. None of my stuff has been. And a lot of that has to do with Dustin Ferguson. Dustin Ferguson is a very organized guy who goes out and he can shoot these movies very quickly. And I think I like his stuff a lot. I'm very good friends with him. He's, a mentor to me. And I could basically do the same type of thing. Even though we do like to make different types of films and shoot in different types of ways, I can apply a lot of what he has taught me to getting stuff done quickly. And, where he may be able to shoot something in 2 or 3 days, it might take me 5 days, 5 or 6 days. But it's going to have that turnaround of a year, where a lot of people's movies either never get finished, or they never get made, or they take 5, 10 years to come out. So that's another thing that I don't get is at no point can anybody that I've worked with say, oh, John, your stuff's never been released, or, oh, it was never finished. It's all finished. I mean, everything is done. So that's another thing that I want people to know, with GHOUL is whatever money you put into it, that perk you pick, you're going to get it. It's going to be there. You're going to get what that perk says within that time period.
Right. No, well, now have you asked your friend like any type of advice that he could maybe think of to help you to get GHOUL, what's the word I want to say? Like more, do I want to say noticeable? I mean, I know we talked about it's been shared a lot and there is chatter about it, but have you asked them any type of like advice to give for like how I could go about funding this or anything?
Pretty much what's been told to me is, one of the big problems is that it's when you're something like, okay, so I'll bring up one of the people who has a campaign that's going against mine, and that's the Mahal brothers who are out here, Michael and Sonny Mahal. Mm-hmm. And I worked on their film Art of the Dead as a PA on that. So I got to know them pretty well. And I've actually watched what they do. Once again, behind the scenes, I've watched what they do with crowdfunding. And they were very open with what they do and said, use what we use. Right now, they're funding a film called, Bridge of the Doomed, which is like a one-location zombie film, which sounds pretty cool. It sounds very interesting. And I like their movies. I like them. But this Bridge of the Doomed is kind of killing us. And but they are masters at this. And even though I've tried to follow what they do, is I'm missing a lot. And so even though they've given me advice, and actually, Michael actually did put in, I think he put in like $50 or $60 onto mine, which was great of him to do. uh, um, it's one of those things where there's something missing. There's something that I'm not doing that's not catching people's complete interest. I don't have a picture of the ghoul. We haven't decided on a definitive look yet, so I can't put up a picture of the ghoul, and I don't want to put up a fake one that I just stole off of Google because it's not my art. It's not fair. I do have a picture of like a female ghoul over a woman, but that's just to give people an idea of what we're going for, and then I have the actual one sheet that Joe Meredith did that for the film, which people seem to love. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I mean, I've been given advice. I followed it. I figured filmmakers that people respected and admired, people, Richard Mogg and Joe Sherlock is going to share it, and Joe Castro just shared it, and Brad Twigg shared it. So there's a lot of people sharing it out there who either have crowdfunding going or have done it, and just nobody's biting.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just because maybe they were waiting for the bigger name. I mean, who knows how long Terrorizer 2, I hate to bring it up, like, again, but, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, how long has Terrorizer 2 been talked about for coming on to, Indiegogo 2? And it's just like, was people really just waiting for that big name to come out just to help see that sequel? When, once again, we got something like GHOUL here that could actually just use, like $5,000 of what Terrorizer has just to help make a more interesting original creature or monster film that you have. I mean, another thing that I actually heard too, which is interesting, is like, for something like Terrorizer, you would think they wouldn't really need help funding the sequel, considering how big it has gotten, because a lot of people will just pretty much mention Terrorizer almost instantly. But it's so, I don't know. It just goes to show how big a indie film can blow up in the world. And I guess when Terrorizer first came out the first time, they didn't even reach their full goal either. They only reached, like, I think it was 23% or something like that, I heard. And now they just completely, killed their goal. And I mean, they still got like a lot of days left, and it's just really crazy. So I'm almost wondering, like, what? So out of curiosity, John, how long has GHOUL even been on Indiegogo right
now? 2 weeks.
Yeah, you definitely were on it before Terrorizer 2 came out, so that's very interesting. I don't know. I just don't know what to say about this, man. I just do hope that, like, people do acknowledge the fact that indie horror, like smaller people like you, actually need more help than people like behind a bigger name like Terrorizer. I'm pretty sure they didn't really need any help, but I can't say too much because I don't know the people behind Terrorizer, and like I just don't know. I mean, it's just really, really scary though when I heard that Terrorizer 2 completely smashed their goal in less than 24 hours, and that's just crazy. I don't know what the fastest funding film is, but man, to me that's really, really crazy. So it makes me wonder how much Terrorizer 2 is going to get by the time the campaign ends. But now I've seen this too, John. I don't know about you, but I've seen people go from Indiegogo to Kickstarter. Were you thinking of even trying out on Kickstarter for GHOUL, or were you just planning on just doing Indiegogo?
maybe both. I'll see how that goes. I mean, I had good luck. I mean, our goal for Meathook Massacre 4 was 2,000, and we made a little over it. So I figured, oh, okay, we'll go with that one again. We had good luck with that one. But I mean, I can always give it a shot and see what happens. And, and I don't want people to get me wrong. I'm not bitter on other people because it's, I want to see Terrorizer 2. I love the first one. I was able to see it in the theater out here. And, even something like, the Mahal brothers or some of these other people that have films out there. I mean, some of these people are my friends. And I'm glad to see that their stuff is getting financing and that they can, that they can make it. It would just be nice that when people see, oh, look, they're 300% over their goal, maybe they don't need more money. Maybe that could go towards a smaller film because you never know if it's going to be a hit. We get the 5,000 or more for GHOUL. A company picks it up. It could do really well, but we'll never know unless somebody gives us the money. I mean, nobody knew that Scream was going to be a huge hit. Nobody knew that Halloween was going to be a huge hit. But if you keep giving to Halloween 2, well, yes, it's going to be a hit. I mean, that's just obvious. Terrorizer 2 is going to be a hit. And I agree with you. You would think that probably the company that's releasing Terrorizer 2 would probably give them money to make the sequel. But then, of course, why did Zach Braff need money to make Garden State? The guy's a millionaire from all the money he made from Scrubs. So he probably could have funded that whole money, that whole film himself.
That's true. Yeah, it's just really sad, man. And I mean, that's a whole discussion in itself. But before I think we wrap this up, is there anything that I haven't asked you that we should know about your film GHOUL, or how we can even keep up to date with you, if you're on social media or anything, to help keep up with what you do for even the future project?
Well, I'm on Facebook mostly, just John Ward. There's just a picture of me, and it's pretty easy to find. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, but not so much. I just kind of started those, so I'm still learning how those work. But I don't really have anything going on YouTube right now. It's like a few videos, me walking my cat, that type of thing. So there's not a lot going on there, but hopefully there will be. So pretty much following, me, or friend me on Facebook, or follow the Axemas trilogy or Meathook 4, or liking, GHOUL, and just doing what you can. I mean, I really do appreciate it. I think it's awesome that everybody is sharing it. I think that's great. But it's funny as I have a friend named Joey DiMartini, and he's the bass player for this band called Disenchanter that's in Portland, Oregon. And he shared it for me. And one of the guys that follows his band wrote, because Joey's a one of those guys who will tell you like it is. If you like it or not, he's going to tell you like it is. And this person wrote, if each person that didn't like you even gave $1, this film would be funded in a matter of hours. And it was like an LOL, laughing and all that. And it's like, that's true. I mean, it's like, even if just people just gave $1 or $5 or something, it could be funded really quickly. But it's just, it's just not happening. So, and if you look at IMDb, a lot of my stuff on there for like the thank yous, a lot of that is for crowdfunding. So I've given to a lot of people, and it'd be nice to even see those people maybe give a little bit back. But, you help crowdfund one film, and maybe, you help crowdfund 20, and maybe only 2 of those people will help you. But it's interesting to see who does. I mean, Todd Sheets helped on Meathook 4, and, Jason Horton, and some of these other filmmakers who do a lot of crowdfunding helped, and I help them in return. So it's just sticking with it and not giving up, and that's what I just have to say about film in general. Just don't give up. Make as many films as you can, and help out on as many films as you can.
There you go. Well, John, I do appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and I do hope that GHOUL gets the light it deserves for trying to be unique and different. And speaking of unique and different, how do you feel that GHOUL is actually unique and different than what we have seen?
It follows traditions, but then it also breaks traditions. This type of, we haven't seen too many movies with ghouls. A lot of, we've seen movies with zombies, and a lot of people think ghouls are kind of like Ed Gein or like serial killers. This is a creature, and hopefully the creature will look pretty cool. And it's a female. It's a creature.
Oh, wow.
We're taking, yeah. Tyler, if you look at her, she's beautiful. I did not picture anybody except for her. So we're going to take this beautiful woman, and we're going to basically go monster on her like Charlize Theron, and we're just going to make her just look horrible just to play this ghoul. And it's just different in that it's something that I don't think a lot of people have seen before. It's not a Christmas slasher movie. It's not a sequel. It's brand new. It's original. It's fresh. There's not a lot of female monsters out there. They tend to all be male. And I think this is new. And I think people would like it, if they gave it a chance. I think that they would really enjoy it and see something different in it.
Well, I'm already intrigued and excited more to hopefully see GHOUL definitely come out in the near future, even if it unfortunately has to be slowed down a little bit for it to come out. But I really do hope that one day we do get to see it, which in your sake, it sounds like we will, but it would just be great if we could just see it sooner than what it might, and might end up, coming to when it comes to having to wait. So I definitely give you and your crew and everybody like the best of luck for sure. And I just hope everybody, even listening, go to Indiegogo. I will even provide a link to John's campaign right now for GHOUL, which at the time of recording has 3 weeks exactly left. And I just hope that we get to see this thing sooner than hopefully not in like 5 years or something for sure. So, but yes, Jan, thank you so much for your time too, and we'll have to have you on again so we can talk more GHOUL, so we can see what is going on in the GHOUL world, and that way we can keep everybody, even us, posted on what's going on and where GHOUL's gonna end up leading to for sure.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you having me on, and I really do appreciate you, talking about GHOUL and being really interested in it and all that, because it really sounds like you are. It doesn't sound like you're just saying it. It sounds like you actually have an interest in it, and I do appreciate that. So, and for everybody out there.
Well, yeah, I sound like I'm interested, I guess, is what I was trying to say, is because, I was reading it. I kind of watched a little bit of the 10-minute video that you have there, and just learning about everything that's going on and what you want to do with it. I think it sounds like a really cool idea, but once again, it's just a matter of if people will bite into it or not to give your film a chance. And I just hope, like, even I wish I could even help you with trying to help, help with money too. But in your sake, same with like everybody here. We got rent to pay, we got bills to pay. Unfortunately, like even $5 can turn into like that's $5 I could use for gas or something. So it gets really hard. And I know most people don't look at it like this too, John, but I don't know why this is coming in my head already. But for the last thing that I wouldn't mind wondering is, have you even thought of taking out a loan from the bank just to help film a movie?
If it gets to that point, maybe. Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah. I know people like to stay away from banks, and I completely understand why. But, like, if you really wanted to get this out there, I mean, I guess a personal loan would have to come into play, unfortunately. But either way, John, I do miss you to wish you the best. And we'll definitely, like I said, we'll have you back on so we can keep up to date with this. And hopefully, once again, people will, bite what she needs to be fed, I guess, as you kind of say on the campaign. You are what she eats. So, oh boy.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. So we're hoping that people want to get eaten. So it's yeah.
Well,
take that how you will. So
yeah, I'll take that with a spoonful of I don't even know, a spoonful of something. But yeah, John, thank you so much for your time, and like I said, we'll have you on again, and I look forward to seeing what happened with GHOUL, and I'll have to check out your other stuff, because maybe we'll just have you on sooner than later so we can maybe talk about your other stuff more anyway. So,
well, I appreciate that. So I really do. And yeah, my stuff, other people's stuff. I just I love movies in general, so I'm kind of a walking encyclopedia. So whatever works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, John, have a good rest of your night, and for everybody listening, thank you so much for listening. Go check out GHOUL on Indiegogo right now. Just go to Indiegogo.com, type in GHOUL. It should be like the first result that you find. Otherwise, if you're just that lazy, just take a look at the episode description, and the link will be provided for you. So all you got to do is click right on there, and but just put it this way: for even $10, you will get an IMDb credit. A lot of people charge more just to get an IMDb credit. So for John, for even giving you a IMDb credit for $10, that's pretty awesome of him. And I mean, let's see, what else is there for some goodies here? We got, $25 for the digital copy of the film and have your name in the end credits. We got, what else is there? John might be able to help out. Oh, look at this for, I don't know, maybe it's less than that. Let's see, let me just double check here. All right, so from what I'm seeing, $35 will get you a copy of the film on DVD. So, yeah, definitely check it out, guys. And make sure to always remember to stay scary.